Hello, all of my beautiful friends. Today, I'm going to be sharing about this new moon in Cancer and the current energies that we're working with. So I'm just going to take a moment and tune in to this message. So much watery energy this week. And without even going into the astrology, when I just start to think about this time of the year and Cancer represented by the crab and the new moon, I think about something that I was taught by my father about crabs during new moon. I think maybe it's also blue moon cycles that they will start to rise up to the surface of the ocean to molt and shed their exoskeleton so that they can regrow a new one. And this is something that can be easily done because the predators can't see them during the new moon. And I hope that I have this right and don't have it reversed. So if anyone knows or wants to cross-check that, let me know. But it just came into my awareness as I was thinking about the energy of this time. And so just thinking about the Cancer, the representation of the crab, the exoskeleton, and the cycle of the new moon, which is the time when the energy is most heightened to grow new things. And if you don't have a practice of doing exfoliation on yourself, it's a wonderful thing to do right now. So during new moon cycles, exfoliation or removing the old so that the new can grow, there's a vitalization in that growth process. So anything that you're starting during the new moon cycle tends to stick, and we have a little bit more ease as we adjust to the new routine. So before I start using the cards, I do want to go ahead and ask you to subscribe if you haven't already and hit that notification bell at the top so that you're notified whenever I offer a new video. And then let's dive in and see what's present for us this week. The new moon peaks Tuesday, Wednesday. And I already have felt like a fair amount of clarity just in the last few days, but haven't been able to foresee how this clarity can be used. So the first card I pulled is nothing will change in your life unless you change it yourself. This is your job. This is what you came here to do in this life, and no one else can do it for you. Yes. So when I was actually channeling a message for July, this was kind of the theme. It was like, okay, can we assess where the current of life isn't moving anymore? And then can we choose to change it? I know that I've bumped up against some things here recently where maybe I'm dissatisfied with something that I'm seeing in the outside world. I want it to change. I want it to be different. And I had to take the time and the space to really investigate why that is, and what about the current situation can I not accept? And when I start to go down that internal review, I can start to unwind maybe places where I have not been in acceptance of myself, some part of myself, some piece that has been denied. Let's continue to investigate and see what this might mean for us. So 2 cards that are pulled are trust and envy. And then I'm going to pull another card so that we can have a better frame of reference. So the more you sit in the self, the more you will begin to feel an energy that you have never experienced before. It comes up from behind rather than in front, where you experience your mind and emotions. So this gives a little depth to what I was just sharing about taking the time to assess, okay, I actually don't feel life in this activity or this practice or this job or project relationship. Why is that? What am I dissatisfied, and where could that actually live in me? How do I direct the mirror to point back at me so I can understand how I have co-created this circumstance? It comes up from behind rather than in front of where you experience your mind and emotions. So this is a helpful guide to be able to drop behind all of like the looping, the thoughts, the more of the thinking process involved in this. Well, yes, there actually is some effort that has to be put into discerning and tracking where this lives in you. But sometimes that's actually not the way to the source or to the root. Sometimes that can be futile because it will lead us back into these thought pattern loops. And so if you find yourself in this self-investigation doing that, then you need to allow yourself to just witness, to just drop back and not interact with the thoughts, and rather tune into the feeling, the sensation. And when we begin to align ourselves with that, we align ourselves with truth. And then naturally and organically, the answer that you're seeking will develop into your awareness. So where trust and envy come into this, I'm going to reference the book here to see what this means. Envy, I am the same as everybody, but with different challenges. Okay, yeah. So I'm just speaking from my own experiences, and maybe that you can apply this. I mean, if you live here on Earth and you've had contact with any human, you likely can apply this. So let's say that I have some relationship that it's like no longer providing me with something that was satisfying or stimulating or exciting. And why? So start that reflective process. Where's the judgment coming from? Where am I being maybe less graceful by focusing so much on the thing that I don't like about the person, or the thing that I don't like about the job or the circumstance, or even just the nature of the relationship? Have I disconnected myself from the presence of grace and understanding? You must learn to accept that obstacles in your life have been chosen by you. You're not a victim. To be jealous of the soul path of another is to doubt your ability to judge what is best for you. It is human nature to covet the perceived luxuries of someone on a different journey. But to try to emulate him or her is not being true to your own guidance. You have chosen this life and these circumstances for a reason. By disregarding that and following in the footsteps of another, you are only setting yourself up for confusion and disappointment. So this could apply to a couple different things. One is that person or situation that you may be judging harshly. How do you shift that perspective to be able to see through a lens of understanding, of curiosity, of compassion? And then how do you reflect that back and see why did I call this in? I'm not a victim to this situation. Some part of me drew this into my life so I can learn something. What is it here to teach me? And then the other part that this could be is there someone or some belief that you have about, if I only had this, my life would be better. I would be happier, or I could stop this cycle. Are you in this illusion of, well, my life is not this good, or I can't leave this job, or I can't leave this person, or I can't, have this thing or this quality of lifestyle or joy because of XYZ. And then you look at other people and maybe is there envy there? Is there jealousy? So how do you watch for that? The other piece to this is trust. I accept that my inner voice will always guide me correctly. So if you are that person that you've attracted this situation that just is dissatisfactory and difficult and believed to be terrible or horrible, how do you take back your power and own that you co-created this to discover something in you that was lost or forgotten? And can you trust that process that's laid before you? Can you trust that you didn't do anything wrong, that there was no mistake made, that this is actually the way? Not the bypassing, avoiding, or disowning, but to go deeper into the why. Why would I attract this life lesson? What can it teach me? How can this enrich my life currently? And I'll just go a little bit more into what this card says. The earth can be a tricky place, but you have been given a tool to help you navigate through the murky waters. That is your intuition. You must learn to tell the difference between ego talk and soul talk, and then trust your soul. Once you get into the habit of following your intuition, you will come to practice that discernment externally. You will be able to know if a person or a situation is trustworthy. So there's the antidote, is if you were to go back and look at, whatever situation might currently be present, or maybe you can apply this to something in the past that you've experienced. How often did you actually get the red flags? Like, can you backtrack a little bit and see where maybe you wanted to overlook some of the impulses of your soul, some of the redirections of your soul? It's so common for us to compromise our being, and to compromise because of really some program running in the background about lack, about what we don't have, and therefore we're willing to compromise what lays before us. We're willing to compromise on our needs and say, well, this is good enough, so I'll overlook that, or I'll pretend that didn't happen. So again, like that internal investigation. Why did I draw this to me? What can I learn about myself? What can I accept about myself? These are two main players in the healing of these karmic loops. And if you happen to be subscribed for my newsletter, I talk about this, and I also give a fantastic resource and practical application, not of my own, but something from a guru, a teacher that I have been following. So if you can, check that out. So the soul talk is something that discernment, that's really what this enlightenment process develops, is the separation of the ego and then the soul. So the place that it talked about, the more you sit in the self, the more you will begin to feel an energy that you have never experienced before. This is the soul. This is the presence of God, the presence of source, universe, eternal timelessness. It comes up from behind rather than in front, where you experience the mind and the emotions. So these are things that really are intertwined with our ego. And until we develop enough of this pausing and assessment of, wait, okay, I am acknowledging that I'm having this emotion. I am not the emotion. So disidentifying with the emotion, the thought, the belief, watching it, and then investigating it. Then what do I learn from it? So that you become more soul infused. And what can I accept about myself in this? And over time, that intuitive response becomes second nature. You become, there's this very tangible quality about what is true or false. What is ego or soul? What is light and, I don't want to say darkness, but maybe like, what is conscious and unconscious material? And the same teacher that offered these practical application and technique for helping to resolve these is the same teacher I would recommend, who highlights and talks about the discernment process, how to build this intuitive connection. And so I'll leave that also in the description of this video, so you can check that out. Let's move forward to some action. So this has been a card that it came up during the, what did we have last? The solstice. This came up during the solstice, and it may have come up in the last full moon. This card for action, again, is what we're consuming. Vegetarian, vegan is what's suggested. I'm not telling people how to eat. I'm just saying the closer to nature that you are with what you're consuming, the less distorted or tampered with, the clearer your own communication is going to be. The more clarity you're going to have of mind, spirit, emotion, and through your body. It will help for the body to be lighter and more permeable, so these messages can transmit through the system without getting stuck. Because sometimes the things we consume create density within the body and within the fields and within the whole consciousness structure. And that causes confusion and murkiness. I feel called to draw one more. So what else would be of the greatest assistance to help in this process? Ask your angels. And if you don't subscribe to the idea of angels, ask whatever other force that you believe is the source of all truth, all being, all knowing, the omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. Otherwise, ask for guidance from these higher angelic beings. If you're stuck, if you don't know, if you've investigated and you just can't get clear, ask. And then be willing to receive the answer. Be willing to be neutral in observing the signs and synchronicities. Ay, ay, ay. So watery this month. Can really feel it in my system, my lymphatic system in particular, which is, it moves the emotions. The lymphatic system is very much connected with our emotional body. So I'm just getting this message that movement really important for the whole process for you right now. Even if you could do a rebounder, you could do some jumping, even you could just stand in place and do a little bit of hopping, jumping, get the lymphatic system stimulated, or you could do dry brushing. You can do massage, self-massage, or go get a massage. And you could also do a number of lymphatic stimulating techniques that you could just search on YouTube. And yoga is a great one too. So take care of your lymphatic system right now. That may be helpful in your process. The last card that I pulled is Circle Cross of Tannan, the rare intersection of heaven and earth. And that really seems to pull all of this together. What happens when we actually start to bring in the spiritual question into our daily human existence? Because seemingly we feel like maybe these things are two separate things, that they're not disconnected. But this is how we bring heaven to earth, is we become that. And we do that by becoming conscious of our spiritual nature, saying, wait, I'm not a victim of circumstance. I am a powerful co-creative force of this universe, and I have called this here and now to be of assistance to myself and to the rest of humanity. Let's see what else this card wants to share. This is one of my favorites. Your plans and purpose are aligned with greater cosmic forces. Whether you see it coming or not, things will fall into place, and what you have been working towards will come to fruition. A rare intersection of heaven and earth will result in a precious manifestation of grace. The divine shall correct a situation that is in need of realignment. Fear not. Pray boldly and be faithful. All is well. As I read this and I'm just open to what I've been observing around me and in me, you may find that things have been building in more of a subtle way, that there's been some experience that you've becoming more and more aware of your dissatisfaction with, your misalignment with, the place where the current has not been running through and you're not getting production or the results that you want from it. And it will probably peak if you are drawing your attention to it and your intention to discovering yourself within it. It will probably peak around this new moon and come into I see it like a seed breaking open from underneath the earth, when it breaks the earth's crust and it finally reaches the light after it's been in the dark. So if you start to direct your consciousness and your intention towards maybe actively and passively discovering, what is this that I've drawn into my life and why? What can this show me about myself? And what do I need to accept? I'm just taking a moment to view through here and see if there's anything else. I feel like that is complete for this reading. Nothing will change in your life until you change it yourself. And that is why you're here, is to change the bonds, the karmic cycles, the looping, and to be free. I would love to hear from you and your experience during this new moon. Feel free to drop your comments in now or to come back and share. And I'm just always so grateful to be able to share these messages. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, hit like. It really helps for other people to be able to see this And if you have any any comments, any love to share, would love to see it down in the comment section. If you want to check out that practical tool and the video that helps with discernment of the soul and the ego, that's down there in the description. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to sharing another message with you in a couple weeks for the full moon. And until then, wishing you a pure and simple life. Pura vida.